Universal and lasting peace can be established only if it is based upon social justice. This evening we're considering how we can meet this challenge, I would say this obligation, in highly challenging circumstances of those countries which are in situations of conflict, instability and extreme vulnerability. Key to all of these endeavours is our understanding that fragility is not a permanent condition, but a temporary challenge to the successful socio-economic development of states and their citizens. It takes time, but if we seek to be drivers of peace and social justice, building capacities and infrastructure is essential, but it's not enough. We also need to invest in the building of trust.
What better institution than the ILO, with its focus, as the DG has said, on social justice, respect for rights, and with the tripartite dialogue that brings together workers, employers and government in social dialogue to help collectively build that pathway to peace and prosperity.
Fragility is a situational thing. It's not a permanent condition. But people really need to kind of embed this in their being, because we may say it, but we behave it as if it is a permanent condition. And we need to also differentiate that the country may be fragile, the institutions may be fragile, but the people are not fragile, especially their minds are not fragile. Because, in fact, I would say the people that live in fragile states are very resilient. That's why they are still there. Try living in a fragile state, you know, it's very hard. Often we don't listen, we just listen to what we want to hear. And this, we need to kind of decondition ourselves. Put yourselves in the shoes of the person in the fragile state and then see how you behave.
What needs to change in the way the international community engages with countries affected by fragility?
Don't have your own agenda. Make your agenda the country's agenda. Your project is not your project. It is the country's project. So when you go into that country, forget that you have an agenda. It is the country's agenda. And that's how you put the country at the driving seat.
You mentioned that your country has endured 23 years of war. So what does fragility mean in the context of your country?
I have witnessed my country take 3 nicknames. I was there when my country was robust. I witnessed at a time when we were called failed state. And now that we are taking the name of fragile states, we still have many people not understanding what an institution means. And we need to really build some awareness within the community. What are institutions? Why we need institutions? What are the laws? Because there are people who have not seen a court. Those who are born after 1990 have not seen a court.
La Confédération des entreprises de Côte d'Ivoire représentait 90% du secteur privé ivoirien et pratiquement 85% de contribution aux ressources de l'État. Donc nous comptions et ça a instauré un dialogue vraiment ouvert avec l'État. Ça nous a permis aussi de rassurer les investisseurs puisque les entreprises ivoiriennes fonctionnaient pendant ce temps, pendant que l'État avait une capitale à Abidjan, une autre à Bouaké. L'entreprise, elle fonctionnait sur tout le territoire. L'entreprise ne se devait pas de mourir, puisque sans entreprise, il n'y a pas d'emploi, il n'y a pas de travailleurs, il n'y a pas de recettes pour l'État, il n'y a pas de possibilité de mettre en œuvre les différentes politiques qui permettent de s'occuper de la population, de lui permettre de se développer socialement, etc.
Quel est le rôle justement des syndicats, Madame Diallo, dans la consolidation de la paix en Guinée?
Quand les négociations ne marchaient pas, on a vu que le pouvoir ne nous écoutait pas du tout. Et mieux, il se disait qu'avec une femme devant, vraiment, il ne fallait pas prendre cela au sérieux. mais c'est là où ils se sont vraiment trompés. Parce que, je vous dis, tout le monde sait que nous, en Afrique, les grands chefs qui ont réussi, et quand ils ont des problèmes sous l'arbre à palabres, ils disent toujours « Attendons demain, la nuit porte conseil ». Qu'une nuit ne porte conseil, c'est pour aller demander à son épouse sous l'oreiller des conseils. C'est là où ils se sont trompés. Donc les syndicalistes ont eu l'idée d'amener le BIT sur le terrain. Nous sommes partis jusqu'aux frontières pour rassurer les réfugiés qu'avec le BIT, on allait trouver la solution.
Today, the signing of this MAU marks an historical moment. It is our hope that the successful example of Timor-Leste could inspire other countries in the same situation to focus on the state building and to increase the request of technical assistance and expertise from ILO in these very fundamental areas such as employment and social protection. I have the honor of inviting His Excellency Mr. Guy Ryder, Director General of the ILO, and His Excellency Dr. Elder da Costa, Secretary General of the G7+, to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the G7+ Secretariat and the ILO.